Hiya, it's Xavier, and I'm in my bonsai retreat. But for those of you who've been watching me for a lot longer and there at the beginning, you'll know that actually I'm down the bottom of the garden. This is where I used to film, and I'd love to say there's tears coming to my eye, but actually I've already had two ninja spiders leap from the top there, and I've stepped in 2 bits of cat poo. Just reminding me why it was that I actually moved from down the bottom of the garden. I'm down here for a reason though. Not only do I have to move everything away from here because I've got the tree surgeons, technical term for the guys who like to lop all the branches of my trees, but I've also got to check up on a project that I started way back on the 3rd of December, and it's linked to a video. In fact, if you go back and have a look up there, I did a video all about, I think it was the first of my bonsai basics actually, and it was starting your own Japanese larch bonsai from bare root saplings. And I took you through the process that I originally started way back in 2002. In fact, let's go to the video now so you see what I'm talking about. Right, so welcome to the second part of my December work. And what we're going to do here is I want to try and create some Bonsai Ents. Now I don't know if that's possible, but I'm certainly going to give it a try, and what we need is something that's got some roots that could develop as legs, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to be putting a little bit of wire on these, but I'm going to give a big shout out to Daniel Martin, who is an absolute trooper up in the far north in Stronsay. He's doing a great effort recovering from a pretty difficult series of events. So this is for you, Daniel. Thank you for the inspiration. So what do we need to do to create Ents from larch? A bit of wire. We need some suitable roots. Working on these are quite brittle, these roots, and I've never I've never done this before in my life, to be honest. So I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to be careful. And the key here is, again, it's still root development. I'm really not going to be bothered what's going on up top. I want to wire out 4 or 5 of these. So, very interesting to know what's going to happen here. I suppose I've got to get it looking as though it's walking. Ooh. Does that look like it's walking? Goodness knows if this is going to work. Okay, so that'll be the first one. Will this make an Ent? I don't know. I'm trying to develop what I hopefully is going to be toes or feet. I don't know whether that's going to work, to be honest, but try. So these roots are starting to get a little bit dry, so I need to hurry up a little bit. Okay. That's going to be our first Ent. Let's get my burying gloves on. I'm sure there'll be someone else out there who's done Ents, but now the only thing, of course, is that obviously as the roots expand, the wire is going to dig in, and I probably will never remove the wire. That should actually scar it up nicely. So. And the only thing you are looking for is, obviously, if you want to have your Ents, you want to try and hopefully have some sort of branch structure that's going to allow you to create arms and that. I'm not sure how that'll work. I'm not sure how any of this will work, to be honest. Now, because I've bent those roots, I've got to be a little bit careful, because the temptation will be to tamp this down and inadvertently flatten my roots. So rocks on top, and then we'll see. Really, I want 2 branches that are opposite each other, which I could actually have something coming from this point. There's 2 branches coming from the same here. So your arms coming out, or here, arms here, and you need to have a head. But let's first of all, I don't know how long it's going to take for the roots to develop, but that's my first Bonsai Larch. No, that's my first larch Bonsai Ent. But how long before we can battle the Dark Lord, Tony of Tony's Bonsai himself? Let's do a few more, shall we? Right, so obviously I wanted to wire up those two because I think this is going to be an Ent that's going to be sitting down. I'm going to leave a few of these other roots because they may work just as well. Okay, let's get this wire on. This is probably where the main leg's going to be, but I'm looking at that one, and that may well become a leg later on. I don't know. Here it's got 3 great big toes, I think, here. Loads and loads of toesers. Give him a bit of a Ent spread. So he can be sitting down. So now I need to cut off the rest of that. Ent number 2. Now, trying to find a way to sit them. Okay, so he's sitting on that rock. There we go. Now, I'm not doing root on rock. What I want to do is so put like that. So he's sitting on it. And of course, the only issue here is that you're always encouraged. You need to get all the soil next to those roots as much as possible, so you don't get air pockets. Not sure. I'm also not sure whether I've cut too many branches off this for actually creating my my upper end, but let's see if we can get these legs sorted first, shall we? Larch Ent number 2. Let's start marching on, and I'll come back to you when I've done the rest of them. I think we've got a hawthorn bonsai Ent here. I really don't know if this is going to work. Still using the rotation technique, so rotate and bend. This is a bit more difficult, so I'm not sure really where to go with this. It's going to be odd. It's going to have odd legs, I think, this one. Turn him out. Never know, I might actually get these roots will develop as well. So let's see if we're going to get a hawthorn Ent.
James, do the like, subscribe thing.
Like, subscribe, in the back. One more to do, wire those legs up. And this one I really hope works out, because it's actually got quite a natural formation to it. And the one thing I've forgotten that I should have really done, as usual, is I should have had some water, just to keep damping these down. I'm actually going to keep a lot of these fibrous roots in a loose cage, because it could look quite impressive with lots of roots all entwined together. This could definitely be the last march of the Ents. Okay. So we've got, see, this is the best one. I've got arms here, I think. So you can tell I don't do human anatomy very well. Oh, that's giving the impression, I suppose. Hopefully, another large Ent. I suppose I've got to wait until the one ring's found again, don't I? But I can't imagine that I'll be looking at those roots for at least a year. Treat it exactly like rooted rock. A year for it to get a lot of girth. I do expect the wire to dig in, and I do expect that I'll be keeping the wire in there, and that may actually give it later stability if I want to wire some more. Okay, so you've seen what I did, and what are we now? We're July the 10th, so we're definitely 7 months later. Here's the 3 larches, and this is the hawthorn. Now I can certainly see the wire in there. This is obviously one of them's the seating one. I think that's the seating one. There's 2 standing, and the hawthorn as well. That's all standing. I can still see the wire in there. Key thing is, we're 7 months further down the line. and all of them got growth on them. So what I thought I might do is individually look at them and just see if there's already branches that I can select for arms and bits. When I say bits, I'm not me. This isn't going anywhere good, is it? Let's cut to the first one, shall we? So let's have a look at Larch Ent number 1. What we're looking for is an initial place somewhere where there's going to be arms opposite. It's the one time we want handlebars and branches opposite each other. So looking at it, it's tough because I've got to try and imagine an arm. I don't want it to be much taller than this, and I also want growth to happen, so I want to be careful not to actually prune too much stuff away. So it's trying to picture in your head either even coming lower down, so it's a very small end, or just looking around. So I might just clean out a little bit of the roughage and have a look, and then come back to you when I think I found a body shape in there. Now, what I have to remember is I don't want the height to be anything bigger than about 9 inches, and I've got a load of roots down here which is going to be the leg, so we've got to think about the waist being here. Well, that already tells me that there's no point looking higher than here. So the nearest sort of structure where I see arms coming from is just this point here. So that means I need to get rid of everything down here. So now what we've got is this branch and this branch, which, I don't know, see some arms in that. It's fairly armless to me. Boom, boom. Okay, I know I don't want to do much pruning, so that was going to be the 2 arms, and then it's just how we form the head. Obviously we can have twiggy bits going, which that's going to be, I don't know, some part of craggy or something. Obviously the main head's going to be in here, and I'll have to carve it out, or maybe, I don't know, depends. You might have a really tall head, but they're going to be the arms. Okay, the legs will be beneath it. I would imagine that all this will be gone, so I'll probably cutting it here, and then I'll carve a sort of head shape or something. Now, the catch-22 I've got here is that, you know, there's part of me saying, oh, let's cut this all right back now. But the primary aim of this first year, and when I say a first year, I want 2 planting years. So we've had from planting last year right through. This is critical, the roots. I'm really not bothered about, I've defined the arms, so I'm happy with that. They can now grow out, whatever. I want this one to grow a lot thicker. So probably this needs to catch up, which means I need to stunt the growth on this a little bit. Goodness knows how we're going to make fingers out of it, but that's what we're going to be doing. So they should need to try and grow at the same sort of proportion. This is going to be the head area, and as for this, I want this to continue to flush out and grow. So that's all I'm going to do there, but they're alive, which means they're going to be feeding energy to the roots, and we'll be revisiting this probably next spring. Let's go look at the other one, shall we? Next one, same conundrum. Waist is here, legs are down to here, so it's actually going to be quite a long body. The only real, we've got a little bud that could come here, but these are our 2 arms, which means I don't want the, I need the energy to be going lower down, so I do need to remove a lot of the top. I mean, if I had years and years for this project, I'd probably let these go untouched for 2 or 3 years, but I need to try and get growth down here, which means I actually have to tell the tree to ignore all that growth. So it's that catch-22, because I do want to be feeding energy into the roots, but I still also want to be feeding energy here and not having them die on me. So this, I think, will be a bit of a slow process anyway. So let's cut those back, and there's our arms. Not quite as parallel to each other, a bit more sort of, yeah, but anyway, it's impressionistic. So that's going to be Larch Ent number 2. presume. He's going to be a very tall... Oh, now here we have actually got 2 branches. Here and here, happily opposed to each other. So they're what we want. What I probably will be doing in the early spring is wiring the arm shapes even loosely. So I need that to grow, which means my head's up here. We want to have bits of head stuff, so that could be a bit of head stuff up there. But we probably don't want to be having any energy going into that growth there or anything up there. Okay, so there be his arms. Got the same issue with the hawthorn really. I want growth lower down. Could have a little shorter, it'd be lovely to have a little shorter one if I get some growth out here. Of course, the way to get the growth lower down is to just lop the top off. And let's see if I encourage. I've got a little bud there. Worst case scenario, I've got an arm there, potentially an arm there, which if the potting angle's right, they'll look like the same place, which means you don't want that. Or this, or this. So that's potentially Lent number 4. Lentil number 4. Now that's Ent number 4. So that means I would have 3 larch and a hawthorn. And I've potentially got a surprise that's been developed as something else, but every time I look at this lower branch of it, I keep thinking it looks like a great big foot about to take a step. So it may well be the surprise centerpiece for the last march of the Larch Ents. So, from Xavier, having sorted out the glare from his t-shirt, enjoying life down the bottom of the garden. I hope you're going to enjoy and share my imagination as I try to construct and develop this Larch Ent forest, so they can have their last march at Fangorn, and maybe I need to spend a few months, in fact set the kids to it, to find me some hobbitses, because I need some hobbitses with some hairy feet. Yeah, so thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoy it. Any suggestions or ideas? The landscape's going to be incredible, I'd imagine, but that's a long way to go yet. But if this is the sort of thing you're going to like, you definitely need to subscribe, because otherwise how are you going to know when the next instalment of the last march of the Ents takes place? Anyway, happy bonsaiing, God bless, cheers. It's a bit of a mouthful. Last march of the Ents, no, last Larch March of the Bonsai Ents, or something like that. Cheers.